Welcome everyone to the Dr. Abs Healthcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brian Abasolo, aka Dr. Abs. And on today's show, I'm really excited about it. We have Wendie Patrick, who is a quantum health specialist. And Wendie focuses on our furry friends, dogs. She actually owns and runs Dogs of Pride and Finessium Holistic Health. She helps her animal and human clients lead happier, healthier lives by identifying nutrient deficiencies, sensitivities, or allergies to food or chemicals in their environment. She makes her own line for animals, including a CBD alternative under the Finessium brand, which name stems from the three dogs in the Dogs of Pride logo, Finn, Jesse, and William. Wendie is happily owned by 2 dogs, 2 cats, and 2 horses. We're going to talk all things pets and natural health for our pets and for ourselves. So I'm really excited to speak to Wendie. Let's bring on Wendie Patrick. Welcome to the show, Wendie. How you doing today?
I am great, Dr. Abs. How are you doing?
Good. Happy to have you on. I'm really excited about today's show because we're going to be talking about some of my favorite things in life, and those are dogs. Okay.
Awesome.
I have 2 beautiful dogs. One of them has been ours, but then we're actually babysitting another one for a friend who actually injured her knee. So technically right now we have 2. We have a handful, but we absolutely love them. And who doesn't love dogs, right?
Well, exactly.
There's something wrong with you if you don't like dogs. But but you are a quantum health practitioner. You work with pets, on a daily basis, and you actually run Dogs of Pride. And I want to pronounce this correctly, Finessium.
Perfect.
Wow. Okay, got it right. Dogs of Pride and Finessium Holistic Health. And you not only help animals, but you also help people just become healthier and just live a healthier life, essentially. So, talk to me about how that organization all started.
Oh, okay. Well, they've always been my passion. Like you said, who doesn't like dogs? Right since a kid, it was always been my passion to help them out, to go and meet and greet every animal I saw, whether it was dogs, horses, cats, goats, doesn't matter. And unfortunately, at the time going through school, I wasn't considered smart enough to go on to become a vet. So roads took me a different direction, and then ended up quite literally circling back, and threw me into a position where I was able to go and study with a girl I had went to college with, mother, who was a certified master dog groomer, and became a dog groomer.
Oh, wow.
And that was a while ago. I'll say 15 years ago now. And then I went on to become a certified master groomer, had a school for a little bit, and was grooming lots of people's dogs, all the rest of it, and opened up a distributorship retail store type thing because I moved to the east coast of Canada and there was nothing east of Quebec. It's like the Maritimes is kind of forgotten. Everybody thinks, Canada ends at Eastern Standard Time. Well, we're in a completely different time zone. And then there's another half-hour one as well if you go to Newfoundland. So there was nothing really, or no one really servicing this area at that time. It was 2010. So I started Dogs of Pride. And Pride was actually my previous married name. So that's where that came from.
Wow, okay.
And then the 3 dogs, which at that time, and that are on the logo, is Finn, Jesse, and William, amalgamated to become Finessium. So well done you for getting the pronunciation right. So fast forward a wee bit till about 5 years ago, and I was having a lot of troubles health-wise, getting sore, cramping up while I was grooming, losing my patience, which then made me put down the shears and go, okay, this is not the groomer I want to be. I'm not going to be that stressed out person trying to pay my bills by basically having this horrible energy around these animals that I love so much. And discovered the reason was that I had Lyme disease.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I'm one of them. And then actually it was finally diagnosed homeopathically or naturopathically. And through that succession, I then went, is this something I could do that could help animals? Yeah. So my doctor actually took me on as one of his practitioners, trained me up. And then I went on to do my health kinesiology diploma, I'd had quantum touch before. I'd always been doing energy work. That just came naturally, really. And then it was easy just to slap on the certificate at the end of that. And then recently, I just became a certified universal certified light therapist, which is basically like an acupuncturist with light. So we use red light therapy
Red light therapy,
and
yes.
and photobiomodulation. So I just love it. And I'm certified to work on humans, pets, and equine. So I
Very
kind of
cool.
look after all of them.
I actually have a deep tissue laser, which is
Oh,
essentially
yes.
photobiomodulation. I treat a lot of my patients, that are in pain and have a lot of inflammation with
Yep.
that. So, and yeah, you could actually work on pets as well with that, and everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's an amazing story. Going from groomer to where you are now. And I understand, because I mean, I imagine that must be a very physical job. I mean, you're kind of like in all different angles and things like that. And, I'm sure it can get a little painful with your joints.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when you think, oh, you're playing with pets all day, oh, you're just brushing doggies, and that must be really cool. It's like, no, because then you have to learn how to handle them properly, how to lift that leg comfortably for the animal so that you can bend over into a contortionist and, clip the nails. But when your body cramps up after doing 2 nails and you've still got 3 other feet to do, it's kind of like, oh, what do I do now?
I hear you on
Mm.
that. Yeah, I mean, me being a chiropractor, I need to bend over and, twist people's bodies this way and that. And, it definitely is a physically demanding job.
Very much so.
So let's talk about pet products. There's a lot of pet products out there, and you actually can speak on how some of these pet products can actually harm humans, because humans have to use them too. Can you go into a little bit in depth on that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Thanks for asking on that, because it's something that there's not very many people speaking on, because a lot of manufacturers don't want to, let you know whether there's going to be an actual toxic, bioaccumulation ingredient in one of their best-selling products out there.
Absolutely.
So they're certainly not going to, make the money doing that. The thing with the pet products is once it's labeled for pets, there's very little regulations that have to be coming, that they have to come under. One of the brands I actually distribute for, the owner of that company went along to, I think it was either environmental working group with all of the ingredients and breakdown of her products. And they said, oh, hang on, this is for pets. We don't do those. And she goes, what do you mean? And she goes, well, we have enough to do with looking after human products. We just don't have the manpower, the funding, whatever else it is, to actually look into anything labeled for pets, which is kind of ironical that you think, well, the pets are only buying these for themselves. So, your German Shepherd is going to toddle off into the shower with his bottle of pet shampoo and wash his own hair. No, it's the people with the opposable thumbs that need to put it on. So it should be highlighted as much as not.
Yeah.
To say, okay, well, you need to be looking at these ingredients as well. If you've got really, like if the price sticker is cheap, well, it's going to be cheap ingredients. It's like, are you getting Kobe beef, or are you getting ground beef, or not human grade? Exactly. You do. And a lot of times as well, you don't. You're getting what you're paying for the marketing to do.
No, absolutely.
Right. That can also highlight a lot of the price points on things. But then if you see that they've got really glossy adverts, or they're on TV all the time, and they're everywhere you turn at bus shelters or anything else, that's where your actual money's going to when you're purchasing that product.
And what kind of products are we talking about here? I mean, like you mentioned, like a shampoo. I mean, and what kind of effects do they have on humans? Like what should my audience that are pet owners look out for out there?
The biggest thing, Brian, is looking at the lower end of the ingredient list. So everybody kind of goes, oh, SLS causes cancer. If you go to the Cancer Institute, there's actually no evidence that SLS itself causes cancer. SLS in a cheap brand, if we can put it that, just to be blunt, there can be a byproduct created called 1,4-dioxane. That is a very well-known carcinogen. So you want to look at your quality, absolutely. But then you want to look at the other end of the ingredient list and look out for those parabens. Parabens are endocrine disruptors. 97% of breast cancer tumors that were actually tested contained parabens. That was released by the American Cancer Institute about 3 years ago.
Wow.
So things like these that are bioaccumulative in your system that you can't get rid of. And people are like, oh, it's just a shampoo, it's okay. But if you've got a paper cut, you've got a skin barrier deficiency. So anything you're using topically is
Yeah.
still getting access to that bloodstream.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you are opening yourself up for these things to come in. Plus, then you're looking at, synthetic fragrances, synthetic dyes, and colorants. Even, they just seem quite inane.
Yeah.
But when you think of the olfactory or nose of a dog that's highly, highly sensitized compared to ours, what we think is like, oh, that's okay. That's quite a nice fragrance. Well, this dog's walking around with it for the next 3 weeks right there.
Yeah.
It's like 10 times more amplified. So your
Yeah.
dog starts sneezing after you give it a bath. Good possibility there's an irritant
That's a
in
red
one of
flag.
the ingredients.
Okay. So, I mean, are there any, I guess, more natural products out there that we should focus on, that by name, for our pets?
Well, I could definitely recommend my own brand, the Finessium brand.
Okay. Shameless plug.
Just get it in there.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that I did put it together, was because through the last 10, 15 years, I've been looking at all of the things that are in these ingredients or in these products and going, well, how can we do it a wee bit better? I've been making colloidal silver for eons, and that's actually been approved by Health Canada as a veterinary health product. But since the whole pandemic and everything went on, a lot of the groomers that I was supplying were closed for quite a while. So we actually had to drop our largest line that we had been carrying for 10 years. But there was a couple of products in that line that were really good. There was a soothing skin one, and there was a tearless or true tearless or hypoallergenic. Basically, what that just means is it's less chance of it causing a reaction because there's no scents, there's no dyes in it. So I thought, I wonder if I could do something. And people had mentioned through the years, oh, Wendie, you should make your own line. And it's like, no, why would I reinvent the wheel? There's a great products that I'm already selling. When that didn't make sense anymore, it was like, all right, okay, never say never. Here we go. So I started mixing, playing, testing, experimenting. And I mean, anything is ever human trials in this house. And that's usually me as the biggest guinea pig. But if I'm going to say that it's tearless, then it's gone into the shower into my eyes first.
Gotcha.
But there, it's basically, we took the SLSs out. We looked at something that was still going to give a good cleanability without having that possibility of a residual toxin in the creation of the ingredient.
So as far as the dogs and the pets, what should we look out for, after baths with these, bad products? Let's say, are we looking at, you mentioned allergies like sneezing, or like they scratching, like what other symptoms can the audience out there note in their pets to see if something's irritating them?
For sure. No, that's a very, very good question, and good to know, because lots of people may see different activity or different actions or personality traits coming out after the groomer, not know why. You'll pretty much know right away if your dog's having a reaction to something, because the hives, it's the same as ourselves. The skin will react and get inflamed. Now, if they've been clipped, certainly clipper burn is an issue to keep an eye out for too, where they might be rubbing or scratching. If there had been an area that was matted, for example, and the groomer had to clip it down really short. And that's not the groomer's fault. It's because you didn't brush the dog out. However, either way, you need something to calm that irritation down. So they could be rubbing their face along the carpet, which can aggravate that and make it worse. Look for the excess scratching. Look for the excess hives on the belly is the first and foremost thing where you'll see something, because that's the lack of hair is the thinnest around the groin area and on the belly. So have a wee check there, and that will probably tell you something. If there's been too much water in the ears, or if the ears have been plucked and been aggravated, they'll be scratching at those, maybe shaking their heads a bit.
Wow, so that's incredible, because I'm like trying to imagine my dog, like, wait, what does he do? Yeah, he kind of did scratch at that point, and he's I could definitely I'll definitely keep my eye out more so now. Let's talk about dog grooming now. Obviously, you're an expert at that. What is the importance of dog grooming and what's often overlooked?
Oh, great question. Especially with a lot of COVID puppies at the minute, everybody's been
Yeah.
adding an extra addition to their family.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, the last thing that's considered, even if it is considered, is grooming. If you've got a dog that's going to grow hair, it's going to need groomed. If you've got a dog that is sleeping in bed with your children, you want to get it groomed. You want to make sure that coat is clean because they have a lot of zoonotic diseases they can carry on their skin.
Oh no.
So they
My,
can
my dogs
carry
come and
so
go.
much bacteria.
My dogs come into our bed all the time. So
Yep.
we got to be careful, but they do get groomed. They do get groomed and washed. We send them to daycare on a daily basis. So yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Continue.
that's okay. Yeah, it can sort of be, oh no, I do that. Oh, I do that. As people are listening and go, oh, I shouldn't do that. Listen, unless it's fleas or ticks or lice or bugs like that, um, I really don't worry too much. I mean, you know yourself, doctor, that whenever you have some bacteria that you're being presented with, your immune system gets stronger and fights it
Yeah.
off.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, you can certainly deal with a lot of this stuff. And if you have a healthy immune system and if your dog does, then it's usually quite fine. However, there are certain things, you need to be aware of. But grooming, just even in general, get that brush out and the comb because brushes will lie, combs won't.
Yes.
So you go through, make sure you keep that hair mat free. And the reason for that, more than anything else, is because dogs can't sweat. So they only sweat through the pads of their feet or their noses.
Gotcha.
So especially if you're in a warmer climate, or if you're in a climate that has rapid temperature changes, then that dog is reliant on having a mat-free coat so they can use the erector pili muscles, which are actually in the hair, to force the coat up to let the airflow go through like their natural air conditioning, or they can close it down close to them for their insulation.
Interesting.
So, and that also as well, a lot of people will say, my dog's too hot, he's panting, I have to get him shaved off, and he's a German Shepherd. Nope, stop right there.
Oh, wow.
Stop right there. Any double coated breed needs that double coat for exactly that air conditioning. That would be like saying, do you want to rip your insulation out of your house in the middle of summer because it's too warm? No, because that's protecting the thermal inside.
Yeah. My
So,
dog is part German Shepherd, and he's so fluffy. But you can tell like the black stripe at the top with his German Shepherd coat. But yeah, no, I mean, I have a friend that always complains about seeing dogs out on the street, and it's really hot on the pavement, and that could obviously really affect them. And
yes.
the owner's like oblivious to it, and they just see them walking, and it's like 100 degrees out and the pavement is super hot, and they don't realize their dog is like kind of suffering there. You know
Oh,
anything about that?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's sad. I mean, if you go outside and it's nice and hot and sunny and everything, think, oh, it's a lovely day. Put your hand on the pavement first. If you can't hold it there for a couple of seconds, don't ask your dog to. That's
Yeah.
basically what it is. So yeah, I mean, and then they're panting profusely because they can't cool down. The surface they're walking on, you could fry an egg on.
Wow. Yeah.
And the only thing they can do is try and get a little bit of a breeze through their coat, but their only way of really sweating on that lovely walk you think you're taking them on is through the pads of their feet. So you're going to accelerate that body temperature. So make sure you always have fresh, cool water, specifically cool water.
Yes.
And if you have brachycephalic breed, which basically is like a breed with their face squished in, like a bulldog or a little Boston Terrier or anything like that, where they have restrictive airflow, then you want to be very, very careful because they can go into heat stroke really fast, like within minutes.
Yeah.
So,
no, I've definitely heard about those types of breeds.
Yes.
And as far as you also put a huge emphasis, obviously, who doesn't, on bonding and connecting with these animals.
Yes.
And why we should. I don't know why anybody would neglect their pet, but some people do out there. Whether they want to or whether they just can't help it. How do you bond? How would you suggest people out there bond and connect with their pets in the best possible way?
You really have to follow your gut on this one, doctor. And what feels good to you, because if it feels good to you, it's going to feel good to the dog.
Gotcha.
Dogs were literally created to be our companions. So they want to make us happy. They want to hang out with us. They want to be in our space, but they don't want to be if our energy's off. So if we're in a bad mood, or we've just come in the house after having this road rage incident down the road, the dog is probably off in its kennel somewhere going, you deal with yourself, human, check yourself out, then come see me when you're done.
I mean,
But
how much can dogs feel those emotions? Because I know, like I saw a post on Instagram the other day that like, they know when you're sad, they know when, like, let's say you just had a fight with your boyfriend or your husband or whoever, and you're sad, my dog will come and lick my wife, like, sit next to her and just, kind of like console her in a way. And it's like,
absolutely.
he
Oh,
knows.
yeah. They totally know. I mean, they can tell the time as well. Have you noticed that? They know when it's supper time.
Yes.
Who taught them to read a watch? When did they put the watch on? They know, they can sense. I mean, basically everything's connected. If
Yeah.
we look at the most basic thing, we are all connected. And if that's living and breathing, and it's got a pulse, whether that's even a tree, it's all energy.
Yeah.
So we're all connected. I mean, everything works on this planet. The cycles of the moon affect us as much as it affects the tides. So certainly if you come in a bad mood, that energy, that vibe that you're giving off,
Yeah.
when you walk into a room, if somebody's just had a fight with someone, because you'll feel the energy, it's dark, it's heavy. Whereas if somebody just told a joke and you walk into the kitchen at a party, everybody's happy, you can feel it's upbeat, it's light, it's refreshing. Your dog reads the energy just the same as we do. Our problem is that we use our voices too much. We talk over everything as opposed to just sitting back, checking things out and seeing what you pick up on yourself.
Yeah.
Whether it's from people's mannerisms or from, I mean, you'll know as well if your dog's sad, if your dog's consoling your wife, just from the way he's sitting, the way he's holding his head, the way his facial expressions relax. In other words, he's not standing stiff with the ears up and the tail up wagging. So you can tell his energy, how he's feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, they totally connect on that energetic level. It's just fantastic. They tell you everything that you don't think they know. Yeah.
And talk to me a little bit about your products, because you deal a lot. You mentioned colloidal silver previously. A lot of people out there may not know what that is exactly. And you also talk about CBD and, other natural health solutions for not only people, but also their pets. I know for mine, my dog is very fearful of loud noises outside, thunder, firecrackers, things like that. I mean, he will literally crawl into a hole that he doesn't even fit in.
Yeah.
Because he's so scared. What do you recommend? Because I did have a neighbor actually recommend some CBD, calm him down. But can you talk about those products? Those natural products can help dogs in a major way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And thanks for bringing that up. The CBD is a fantastic product. I mean, it's just what Mother Nature's already given us.
Yeah.
But people are realizing the benefits of it, and other people are realizing that they don't want us to know the benefits of it too. And so much that, Canada won't let it in without license. So I came up with an alternative up here.
They have some strict laws up there, huh?
Oh yeah, they do and they don't. It's quite funny actually. I mean, with the paraben thing, going back to that for a second, that they only allow in a certain percentage of that. So the manufacturers got savvy to that, and instead of saying, okay, this one's got 5% parabens in it, they now go, oh, but it's only got 1% of methylparaben. So they do ingredient splitting. They do have different versions of parabens now, and nobody, it seems, at the border knows how to do math. So, they all come in. But the CBD thing, yeah, we were the Canadian distributor as well for Pet Relief, and that's probably my favorite brand. Pet Relief is widely available down there in the US to you guys. So out of Colorado, they basically have their own strain. They have their own farm. They do everything themselves. And it's a very clean product. It's coming from industrial hemp. It's not coming from marijuana. Now, it's all under the umbrella of cannabis. So it's like saying, okay, here's an orange and here's a lemon. They're under the umbrella of the citrus. but they have different attributes. Like an orange is sweet, whereas a lemon would be bitter. So if you think of that, that's the best way to explain the difference between hemp and marijuana. So hemp has got all the nice, soft, lovely ingredients and the cannabinoids and the terpenes and everything in there, whereas lemons have the same kind of basis, but they've also got that little bitter edge, which is the THC.
Gotcha.
So you don't want to be going into anything that's come from a medical marijuana strain for a pet, because you're still going to have the chance of that THC being too high. And once it gets over that certain percentage, a dog or a cat or a horse doesn't understand what it's like to be stoned. So they will actually stop eating and drinking. They can go into what's called static ataxia. And then their liver and kidneys shut down.
They wouldn't essentially get more hungry like humans do, like get the
You would think so, but no, it's that the whole disorientation of them is can be very, very off-putting for them.
Oh, okay.
And you talk to any vets up here as well, you'll find that the incidences of people giving their animals their own pot has been horribly on the rise, and horrible things happening. So, I mean, you can get that dog's kidney shut down within 24 hours by doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't want to do it.
So don't get your pets high.
No, don't get your pets high. Not at all. No, but stick to the CBD coming from hemp. And also as well, people will say, well, we can get the THC or we can get the CBD on its own from the marijuana plant, but it doesn't have THC in it because they've taken it out. Okay, so that's just a clever way of someone trying to sell you an isolate. And an isolate is basically where they've just extracted that one CBD molecule from the whole plethora of stuff. That's so you've lost your entourage effect. You've lost your full spectrum ability. You may not get any results with it at all, because that's like saying, okay, here's a lovely big Sunday dinner, but I'm only going to give you a carrot.
Gotcha.
Right? That's what the CBD would be like on its own, as opposed to having the full spectrum.
Now, CBD, look, I'm in Los Angeles, so there's tons of dispensaries and things like that. I mean, can you potentially purchase a pet CBD at these dispensaries? Or
well, in the US, by all means. I mean, you have lots and lots of brands down there that are specifically made for pets, Pet Relief being the one that I'd definitely be behind. But there are lots that are just focused on pets as well, that just work from the industrial hemp. And you want to go that line rather than going to a dispensary where you're going to probably have more products just based from the marijuana side.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. That's so interesting. And what are the results that you've seen with the pets that you've worked with the CBD and the colloidal silver and these other natural remedies? Yeah,
well, with us stopping being able to get it in Canada, I came up with an alternative I call smart oil, because it basically ended up being really smart. But the difference is because we're having very similar results with it. So we've seen it help with anxiety. We've seen it help with the fear with the loud noises. And every animal's different and every being's different. The same, you'll know yourself with your clients and patients, that when you're adjusting someone, they may react really, really well to it. Whereas somebody with the same issue is taking 5, 6, 7 times longer to actually be able to get readjusted. It's the same with every being, same with every animal. So what works for one may not work for Fluffy down the road, or they may have to try it 3 or 4 times more, or even increase the dosage to get that result. So there's no one size fits all. And that's why diets don't work either, because there's not one size fits all or works for every being on the planet. So I actually teach and encourage all of my clients to learn how to muscle test. And that's something you're probably incredibly familiar with in the chiropractic field.
Absolutely. Like kinesiology.
There you go. Yep. Absolutely. Yes. I mean, that's what I do on a daily basis with actually from a distance as well. I do a lot of distance energy work and muscle testing and surrogate muscle testing.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting. Along with these products, I mean, are there solutions out there for like a pet that's gone through trauma that, is scared, like, I mean, I don't want to say like a pet psychologist or like a dog whisperer or something like that, where they could actually like reverse that trauma so that the dog, because I mean, my dog Copper, my wife's sister found him, and he was in a storm, and like he crawled out from under wherever he was. He crawled out from under the fence and like ran away, and she just found him in the street. But ever since then, the lightning, the thunder,
Mm-hmm.
all that, he just disappears on us because he's so
Mm-hmm.
scared. I mean, is there any way that we could essentially reverse that trauma and help him live like more normally when it comes to that?
There is to a limit. I mean, so it all depends as to, what that association is, how deep it is. It's the same, with a child, whether
Yeah.
it's a person or a dog, it's the same. That trauma is there. Now, with a child, you can work through with your psychology,
Yeah.
with different things, with sand play, with whatever different things will work. With a dog, it's a little bit more difficult because you've got that communication breakdown.
Of course. Yeah.
But certainly, I mean, the likes of myself can tap in energetically and actually have a conversation. And some animal communication comes through when I do my kinesiology testing. I didn't ask for that actually either. It's kind of weird. It started coming through. Some things came through, some words came into my head, and I'd ask the owner and go, "Does this mean anything to you?" Know, how did you know that? So it's like,
can you give me an
right.
example? Can you give me an example of like when you were working with like a pet and maybe you did a muscle test, and like what did that tell you exactly?
Oh, okay. Well, basically the when I go through everything, I'm testing for all sorts of things like pain in the system, any old injuries, any nutrient deficiencies, any presence of parasites, mold, toxicities, autoimmunity, heavy metals, you name it. And whenever I get through my whole sort of testing routine and just getting the yeses and nos, then I'll go, is this everything you need from me? And ask the animal. And I'll either get a yes or a no. And if I get a no, I'll go, okay, did I miss something? No. And I go, okay, so are you done with me then? No. All right. Is there something you need to tell me? Yes. Okay.
How
So
do you know this?
exactly, right? It's like, I'm just going with it. You get the ego out, you can do so many more things. It's crazy.
Right.
There was one that was really quite funny because I started to tap in. I'll always go in and go, hello, I'm so-and-so. I'm here to help you. Will you let me chat with you? And they'll go, yeah, okay. And sometimes it's like, yeah, do your thing. Cats are kind of like, not sure, maybe. It's kind of fun. But this one dog I was doing, and all I kept hearing was Tom. I'm like, Tom? Yes. I was like, who's Tom? Tom. And I'm like, what is this Tom thing? Like, I can't make this stuff up. Like, it's insane. So I go back on with the people after, and I was like, so who's Tom? And they looked at each other and they went, it's our son-in-law. He absolutely loves him.
Oh my God.
It's like, and I can't make it up. It just sounds like the most mad thing that you've ever heard. And I understand anyone listening to this.
How did you hear Tom though? Like how did that happen?
It was just like, yeah, you can say voices in my head. I'm crazy, whatever you want to label it as.
You are the dog whisperer.
Yeah, quite literally. It's just animal communication. There's lots of people that actually do it. I'm more shocked about it than anything else, though, because I didn't expect to have any of this. But I mean, I've been shown pictures of people standing there. A dog showed me that they were basically channeling a grandfather of their owner.
Wow. Wow.
It's just bizarre. I was shown a picture of a man standing there. I could describe the color of his hair, the stature, the build, and the fact that he was wearing a military uniform.
Wow.
Bizarre.
My wife always tells me, he's like, I'd give an arm and a leg if I could get Copper to talk. Like it's just
Oh, they do. They talk all the time. It's just knowing how to listen. And some have
yeah.
more vocabulary than others.
So I mean,
Definitely.
so talk to me about that, like communication. I mean, I guess, is there a way that we could do it? Like the average person that maybe doesn't have as much experience, like how, I mean, obviously we get the physical cues and the barking and the verbal cues from them, but I mean, is there any way we could take it to the next level when it comes
Of course
to
you can. Yeah, of course you
also?
can. I'm just an average person as well. I mean, it was only them that actually have brought me here
Yeah.
because I'm like, okay, I'm wide open mind completely. As I say, take the ego out that you can double think that you know what's going on.
Yeah.
or that you can guess what's going on, or that you can make your own version of something.
Yeah.
And just basically keep an open mind and go, okay, show me if there's anything to show me. And don't go in with a preconceived notion that you know the answer, because then you're putting up that block.
Yeah.
But if you go in, I know absolutely nothing. I am very humble. I'm like, nobody or nothing or whatever else. I'm just here. I'm just a vessel, whatever. And just listen.
Yeah.
Just listen. You'll know as well. And have fun with it. Don't overthink it. Don't try to work it out, because then you're thinking about it too much. But just sort of try. I have found, though, in saying that it's more difficult with your own animals because you're too close. And I've heard that from a few animal communicators, that they can't actually talk with their own dog.
Really?
But they can talk with yours.
So
So I can talk to my horses because they don't live in the house with me and they're not around me 24/7.
Gotcha.
Right. And cats, a little bit. I have one cat who thinks he's part dog anyway, and he's quite talkative. He'll let you know what's going on. But one of my other dogs is like, you'll figure it out, but she won't tell me anything.
She's a little bit more secretive, right?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, this has been
it's interesting. Yeah.
Such a great conversation, Wendie. So just to finish up, talk to me a little bit more about your products and where, let me know your website, your social media handles, if you have any, and just let me know where people can go and find these natural products that are helping out a lot of animals out there, and, not filling them up with all these chemicals and all these negative things that are out there on the market today.
Oh, for sure. Thank you. The best place to find me for everything is finessiumhealth.com. And that will link you back to our Dogs of Pride site if needs be. It will also link you to our podcast, our Quantum Years podcast, where I have more ramblings like this. And we're Finessium Health on Facebook. We are Finessium Holistic Health on Telegram. And you'll find us on Instagram. You'll find us on YouTube, on BitChute, and all over the place. But stick in Dogs of Pride, Finessium Health, or Quantumly Yours, and we're going to pop up on any Google search you throw in there.
Got it. As you can see right there in the background, that's how you spell Finessium for those asking. Wendie, thank you so much for coming on and talking about such a great subject. I mean, dogs are amazing. We all love them. So thank you so much for coming on, and I appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today.
All right, Wendie, take care. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.